everybody and welcome back. Today is the 28th of September. I guess today was probably one of the last days where it was actually warm. So in the afternoon we had around 25 degrees, but you already could tell while being in the shade that the air wasn't as hot as it was during summer, which means autumn is now here in South Tyrol. Especially while riding late, I noticed that because it's getting darker earlier and earlier. Probably the last few rides I will do this year will be supported by a headlamp or a lamp on my handlebars, as even if it's still bright outside in the woods, it tends to be darker as the trees block a lot of light. But today I managed to start at around 6 p.m, which meant that I was back home at around 7 p.m. Which means I don't need any light so far, but I guess in the next few weeks that will be the case. And today I started to do the interval training with 5 minutes of intense interval. To be honest, the ride was nothing special. I could push a bit harder during the first 15 minutes of warm-up, which gave me 2 additional minutes from the restaurant. So the last few times when I didn't push as hard during the warm-up, the first interval was starting already at the gate, which is right behind the restaurant. But this time I was way ahead, already past the first steep ramp, and then the first intense interval started. Today I decided to descend the forest road and don't use the trail until the very end, because I managed to go that far that there were still a few meters left of uphill to reach one section of the trail, so I decided to go down the forest road, as 2 minutes isn't that long if you have to recover well for the next interval. So it was basically uphill on the forest road and downhill on the forest road while doing the interval training. And at the very end, I obviously put on my protection gear and went down the trail as usual. And the thing is that the valley is located in a location where the sun is actually blocked earlier than in the main valley, which means the shadow is covering it already before. So the air is way cooler than it is on the previous few meters. And a very strange thing I noticed today was actually as further I got up the valley, as warmer the air got. So my assumption is that actually the remaining hot air, which was produced while the sun was shining, is moving upwards and therefore moving upwards into the valley, as the cold air is descending into the valley, which in the end means that the warm air is held captive in that side valley. So I could change my cycle gear without rushing, as it wasn't as cool as I expected it to be. And on the downhill, I tried to open my brakes as much as possible. I tried to lean in the berm as much as possible. I tried to look ahead as much as possible. And I also tried to ignore the plants which are hanging into the trail, as oftentimes I try to avoid them with my upper body, which puts me in a disadvantageous position, and oftentimes that kicks me out of my riding rhythm, resulting in slower speed and not as much fun. I guess the local community has to mow this trail again one more time, and during winter obviously the plants aren't growing, so we have a perfectly maintained trail during winter, unless it isn't snowing obviously. As if it is snowing more, going up the hill on that particular section is almost impossible, as the trail is located on the southern side of a mountain, which means almost no sun is getting there during winter, which in the end also means that the snow isn't melting there that fast, so it lays there for quite a few months, but that is a thing of the future. So far the trail is rideable, as obviously the temperatures are up until 20 degrees during the day. Let's see how the next 2 weeks of interval training turn out. I will keep you posted and let you know how the reference ride will go in the next few weeks.